Hello, my name is Brian Robbins, and this is my reaction video for the what is this? The video over white collar crime. First thing I'm gonna talk about. One of the things I found interesting in the video was finding out that white collar crime wasn't really it wasn't really like a big issue until I mean, it's always been like a big issue, but it wasn't really like a popular issue until early on. Not early on, but the early 20th century is when white collar crime really starting up. And even around then, like it wasn't as popular and wasn't as like what's the word I want to say? I don't want to say like dangerous, but it wasn't like something that a lot of people really looked at as like a major issue for real. I feel like a lot of people didn't a lot of people still didn't like understand it at that point. It was just one of them things that got like swept under the rug or just overpassed. Second thing I wrote down, a lot of crime early on, it wasn't very carefully planned. That goes hand in hand with my first point. I feel like because it wasn't this thing that a major issue, a lot of people didn't really or a lot of CEOs and people doing white collar crime and stuff, they didn't really put too much effort into it because they thought they could just get away with it, or if they got caught, like it'll just be like breezed over. One of the funny things I seen in the video, the guy was talking about how early on, whenever white collar crime was going on, the defense attorney said that one of the reasons why his suspect, or one of the reasons why his the dude he was defending shouldn't go to prison was because there was like prostitutes and pimps in there in prison or something crazy like that. But that just goes to show like how much of a big deal like this wasn't. What, like, it wasn't like no big deal. So I thought that was kind of funny. The third thing I wrote down was a lot of criminals wasn't getting, or a lot of criminals wasn't getting the punishment that they deserve. Really, they was getting like lighter sentences because it was just up and coming. The next thing I wrote down was criminals didn't think about the chances of them getting caught for real. And like I've been saying, that just it wasn't popular. This is one of the things that kept like blowing my mind, like as I was watching this video, because it wasn't popular at all. I just think it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? You think of like other crimes, and of course it's not like nobody like dying or anything, but it's crazy because these people, they always heard this saying like the rich get richer. And it just goes to show like people are doing these crimes and hurting old folks, you know what I'm saying, scamming people, and it's just blown over. All right, the next thing I wrote down was one of my personal opinions, well, not one of mine, but something that he said that I agree with was changing the time, or increasing the time of a punishment if you're getting caught for white collar crime. He said from like 2 years to 10 years, like as an example. I feel like it should, well, like nowadays I think the time of it is going up, but I think that's something that should or would help stop or prevent white collar crime, because he said like a lot of people who got caught for it, like they weren't even like, or he said they had a hard time trying to describe or trying to think about who they hurt, or they didn't see it as like a big deal, like they weren't even thinking about it. They was like on the phone talking about it with their homeboy, which I think that's insane. But I think increasing the time would at least freeze people, you know what I'm saying, like as they're doing it, like, okay, well, if I get caught, I might have to do like 20 years instead of like 2 months. Cause I think he said like one guy got like 3 months in prison, and he came back and like got his job back. Something ridiculous. Yeah, next thing I wrote down I found interesting. He said for white collar crime, oftentimes the people committing the crime, they ain't have like no emotion about it. They was just because they thought about I forgot what he said they thought about, but I know for sure he said oftentimes they ain't have no emotion behind it. They just thought about what they did, you know, and they might have felt bad um for like missing like a graduation or something, missing something personal. That's actually the the next thing I wrote down. Next thing I wrote down, that most of the criminals, they ain't feel bad about who they hurt or like what they did. They feel bad of like oh, like I missed my son's birthday party or my son's graduation, or oh, I'm in here, you know what I'm saying? Like that's why they feel bad. They ain't feel bad for the people that they actually hurt. I think a lot of times a lot of criminals think like that. They don't really think about what they did. They think about how it affects them. A lot of people are real egocentric. Next thing I wrote down was when people think of crime, they think about the victim's perspective and not the people who committed the crime, their perspective. And I found that interesting because like say for example, you work at like a corner store or even Walmart. We could, you know what I'm saying, work at Walmart. And a little boy going there, let's just say he, you know, steal some candy or steal a drink, some chips, something to eat, you know what I'm saying? And you catch that little boy, you know what I'm saying? The people that work there, they're going to be like, yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? He needs to be punished, you know what I'm saying? He needs to be arrested, you know, fined, paid, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he's never going to learn. But you don't look at the side of the little boy. You don't think about what he has to go through. Like, he could be like homeless, you know what I'm saying? He could be, the only thing he ate, he don't have no money, he trying to eat, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't think about that. They just quick to just react. They don't never sit down and think about people from the other side. I'm not saying that to say like white collar crime is okay or like these people should be like, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of times people don't know. People have a hard time putting themselves in other people's shoes. I feel like nowadays people is just real quick to judge and react. And the last thing I wrote down was I found it interesting that he said a lot of prosecutors, whenever they was looking into white collar crime, a lot of the times like they'll have they'll get like the evidence and stuff and they'll have it lined up, but they'll wait for it to actually happen, so they have like an easier case rather than just trying to prevent it. I found that interesting too, because I know a lot of times people just, or not people, but you know, they be trying to like stop the crime, they be trying to prevent it, you know what I'm saying? I think he said it's one of the only crimes where people be trying to like just wait for it to happen, you know what I'm saying? Don't nobody like try to wait for no murder to happen for they go like solve it. If they got the evidence, they gonna go prevent a murder, you know what I'm saying? But white collar crime, they gonna wait for it to happen before they try to go react on it. And that's all the notes I had for this video.